Hey, welcome to Worlds Collide with a new episode after a break. Welcome everyone to the show, and especially hi to the new listeners. So I decided to make this a little bit different this time, not like a whole big intro in the beginning. So we'll start right off with our guest now, and my guest today is Timothy. Hey, how are you today?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for being here, and thanks for connecting with me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
Of course. So tell me, where are you calling right now from?
So I am actually in Acapulco, Mexico currently.
Okay, and what brought you to Acapulco?
My family brought me to Acapulco. I'm an American,
Mm-hmm.
born and raised in America, but with my wife and kids living in Mexico and being separated for almost 18 years in combination.
A few questions I already have like right away. So like
Absolutely.
how come that you're separated for such a long time? Like were you not able to move to Mexico, or did you not want to, or did she not want to come to the United States, or was she not able to come to the United States? Like what happened?
Well, to make it short, sweet, and simple, life's challenges always
Uh-huh.
comes and tries to block us from being able to do things, being able to have our life you know, be in the way we just want it to be. And so, my wife and I started our relationship actually in America. So she was in America initially. Now she had two kids from previous relations. They were living in Mexico while she was there to help try to raise and support them.
Mm-hmm.
That situation happened to be where she worked in a movie theater overnight as one of the cleaning crews. I worked there during
Mm-hmm.
the day for the actual company itself, and I worked there.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to school during the time, getting my degree in automotive and doing what I could do to better assess my life. I happened to be ex-military, so I was out of the military already, and I was
Okay.
working there and getting my automotive degree. She worked there overnights, and it's just to me, it's every time I think of this situation, I smile because of what took place was just so unique and so amazing. But she spoke no Spanish, or excuse me, sorry, she spoke no English,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
I spoke no Spanish.
Yeah.
So our whole situation and everything, we really couldn't talk to each other, while she was there working, and I was
Mm-hmm.
there working. Um, but the only thing that we would really say to each other is, "Hi, how are you? I'm fine." And that was it. That was our entire conversation, nothing
Okay.
else. And but I would always see her come into work really early, like 2 or 3 hours prior to us closing. I
Oh,
never
okay.
understood why. I didn't know her background or her history at that time.
Right.
But she would always show up to work early. And when she showed up to work early, I would go and, hi, how are you? Continue about my day, do what I had to do. And she would go about cleaning. Eventually, one time, I happened to see her there super early, like 3 or 4 hours early, well before
Okay.
we ever closed. And she was sitting on a bench, and I happened to look at her. I'm like, "You're crazy! What are you doing here so early? Why are you here?" And I
Mm-hmm.
used the word. I said, "You're local. Why are you crazy? You're here." To her and to Mexicans, that's very offensive. You don't call them crazy.
Yeah.
They'll show you. They'll
No,
show
I
you
see.
crazy. They'll show you
Yeah.
crazy. So, so I happened to do that, but not thinking anything of it, because in English to us, hey, you're crazy, you're stupid.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
sure.
it's terminology, and it's something we use in normal language. So I just continued about my day, not thinking anything of it. While in the back of her mind is like, who is this fool to call me crazy? This person isn't going to call me
Yeah,
crazy. I'm going to tell him a thing or two.
yeah,
And,
she thought
and
you called her out.
yeah, but the thing is that she couldn't talk to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So there was no communication
yeah,
really.
yeah, no, and but learning from that, she happened to take about a week or two to learn English just to cuss me out. She wanted to learn how to speak English just to say, you don't call me that.
Oh,
Um, but what happened was when she initially spoke to me, all she could do was ask me my name, and that was it.
oh yeah.
What is your name? That was it. That was the entire first conversation. And but once that took place, I, it lit off a spark in me, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. So I took my time. The very next day, I brought in a Spanish English dictionary with me, and I
Uh-huh.
happened to bring a little Spanish translation book with me. And so we sat at the movie theater counter, the concession stand counter, and took about 2 hours, but we figured out like four things of each other. You know, what our names was, our age, you know, what our relationship was,
Uh-huh.
you know, and whether or not we had kids. And from there, it just grew into something magical. Our very first date that we had, she actually had a friend of a friend come along to translate for us. You know, we couldn't
All
speak or
right.
anything. So somebody she never even met was
Uh-huh.
there the night that first night she met them was the first night that our date happened. And so from there, you know, we started a serious relationship.
With
Mind you,
the
she
third
was
person too.
right, right. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
stupid question, but I had to ask.
Oh
No,
no,
of course
absolutely.
not. No, of course not.
No. Yeah, no, it was something that was out of a movie in
Uh,
essence, you know.
and so, but that was like way before Google Translate and all
Yeah.
this. So, right,
Well,
that's probably
Google
why it's just
Translate
like
was very, very in its infancy. So this
in
was in
advance. Yes.
2007 that we had our first date. So it was Google
Right.
Translate was there, but it was in its infancy. It literally was just starting out.
Yeah, but you also didn't have like smartphones at that time, so you
Oh
didn't
no, no
run around with
smartphones.
internet at all.
No,
So
yeah. See
that was
that it was a different world for
yes,
people. Yeah,
different
smartphones weren't
world.
really a thing. You know, all this information that you now have was not it. You know, it, so yeah, that's what kicked it all off. But then our separation began when she had to come back to Mexico, and
Okay, and why did she have to go back to Mexico?
well, so what took place is that at 2 months, or I mean, excuse me, within with her two children being in Mexico,
Yeah.
she happened to go and be working and doing all the things she did. We started a serious relationship. Well, at that same time, she became pregnant with our child, and so.
Mm,
But the thing is that her mother was watching the children back here in Mexico. And
yeah.
so once her mother found out that she was pregnant, she's like, I'm not watching your kids anymore. You have to
I
figure out what
see.
you're going to do.
I
And
see.
so this time she was 7 months pregnant. And
Oh, okay.
so we had to put her on the next bus back. And
Wow.
because if she left any time later, it wouldn't have been possible. You
Right. And
know,
what was your plan at that time?
work,
Work, and
work,
then
and
you
work.
wanted to go to Mexico at that time, or
Um, So I had no idea about immigration. I had no
yeah.
idea about moving abroad or anything of that nature. All I ever knew was work. Working my whole entire life. I've been working since the age of 10. So,
Uh-huh.
that's really all I knew. I didn't know anything about immigration. Our relationship was new, you know. Um, the thing is that I could have easily stepped away from the
Yeah.
relationship and had no
Yeah.
consequences whatsoever because
Right.
you know and even still at that point in time we really couldn't communicate very well. We had our basics. How are you? You know, talk about the day, what the weather was like, things of that nature. But
Mm-hmm.
getting into details, our conversation was very minimal still, even at
Yeah.
that point in time.
You were still learning each other's languages. I assume you
Yes.
also wanted to learn some Spanish at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wasn't like taking classes or anything of that nature, and she was learning a lot more English than I was learning Spanish. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
um, she was, it was just, so when she went back, you know, she went back and that's when everything changed, especially in 2008 when America was going through the recession. See, at that point in
Right.
time, I was actually working for BMW as
Uh-huh.
a technician, and then I also was working Target. So I had my mom here in the United States trying to help. Support her, you know, pay for the rent, do everything
Mm.
that I could, and then I was trying to help support them in Mexico and make sure
Oh
that they
wow.
had money and food and everything. But I was never able to save money. You know, it
Right.
was
Yeah.
always supporting two separate
Mm-hmm.
worlds. And what happened during 2008 was the recession. So during that time, I got laid off my BMW job.
Uh,
Now, during that time, I had no other money. I didn't. My daughter was already a year and a little less, or right at a year old. I
uh-huh.
still haven't seen my daughter yet. Never been with her. You know, missed so many moments, and the whole situation basically boiled down to my daughter became sick at right at about a year old, and she became so severely sick. The one word that I could understand from what my wife told me was the appendix. So when you talk
Uh,
about appendix, it can be a severe issue, and
yeah,
for a
yeah.
child that's less than a year old, it can be something severe. Our conversations were very sporadic, but medical and finances are the two areas that we have real complications in. So I happen to have a friend when I got out of the military. I lived in Texas for a couple years. And I knew them, so I called them. I said, "Hey, call my wife, find out what's going on. Let me know what's happening." He told me, "Comes find out, my daughter was sick, severely sick. They tried to treat that sickness, but in turn, it even made her worse. And
Oh
come find
no.
out, she was actually allergic to penicillin during that time."
Ah.
So that's what made the appendix swell. Once they figured all that out, it, you know, settled out. But when I got laid off, I'm like, my daughter could have died. You know, what am I
Yeah.
supposed to do now? You know, I haven't been able to see my daughter. I have no money to go see her. What do I do? So
Uh-huh.
at that point in time, I decided to do the only thing that I knew that was free, and that was walk. So I walked from Virginia to Mexico to go see her for the first time.
Really?
Yes,
You walked?
yes, ma'am.
Oh my God. So what you walked because it was free, but how long did it take you?
So the first time I walked, I've done this 3 times now,
Um,
walking across America.
that's crazy because I
Yes,
usually hear also that story the other way around, and
yeah,
then I already think that is crazy.
yes,
It's so far.
yes, very much so.
And why why did you do it? And like how long did it take you and why did you do it three times?
So the first time that I walked was to go see my daughter for the very first time.
Yeah.
But that walk taught me everything I needed to know about the next 2 walks. So the first walk, I my whole goal was focused on one thing: get to Mexico. I was actually going to walk through Mexico,
Where in Mexico did you have to go to?
Acapulco, Mexico. So it's
That's
about
pretty far
2,000
south.
miles. Yeah, it's about 2,000 miles or so away from the border.
Uh,
And so my whole intention was just to walk through Mexico. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how dangerous Mexico was, nothing.
at that
And
time, it was pretty dangerous
yes,
already.
Acapulco was the most dangerous city in the whole entire world during that time. So,
Did
and
what
it
did sorry,
go ahead.
did your the wife? went to Acapulco because she is to Acapulco originally.
Yes, yes,
She's from there.
that's where her
Mhm.
mom is, her dad is, all of that stuff,
Uh-huh.
all family and everything. That's where she was born. All my kids were born from there. So,
Okay.
so yeah,
But
ties
okay,
to
so you
Acapulco.
walked to the border from.
So initially, and this will kind of go into the story of the book, and that's how the book came to be a little bit. But so walking there, I happened to go to Amarillo, Texas,
Mhm.
where I was born from, or not born from, but where I was at after the military.
Okay.
And I happened to stay at a friend's place there during that time, and I looked at it, and I saw the news. And during this time, my whole intention at this point in time was to walk through Mexico. But on the news, they talked about the dangers of Mexico and how our government at the time was saying that Americans should not travel through
Uh-huh.
Mexico.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I've gotten this far. Now what am I supposed to do? My whole intention was just to walk through Mexico. So what I did learn was like the Greyhound stations and stuff. Even at that point in time, they had no tickets that you could get yourself from where I was in Amarillo all
Mhm.
the way to Acapulco. I
Yeah.
could only purchase the ticket the at the border basically to get myself
To,
all the way to Acapulco. So
okay.
I walked basically the rest of the way to El Paso, Texas, and then got a bus.
It's so far. I'm in Texas and I drove from here to Amarillo. It's already so far north. And
Yes,
El Paso,
yes,
it's
yeah,
so far and it was hot and
yes,
oh my God.
yeah.
That is
So
crazy.
yeah, yeah,
But I have a question.
yes.
But didn't you also want to get there as fast as possible?
This trip took me because of everybody that was helping me along the way. So you have to imagine, initially my thought was just go those little luggage carts that have those two wheels
Yeah.
that you carry luggage on as you're in the
Uh-huh.
airport. I took that initially with a luggage bag on, and I got to the very next city of my initial journey, and the wheels locked up. I couldn't go anymore.
Yeah.
So I actually
Uh-huh.
had to be taken back to my house. I had to regroup, reorganize, and then a week later, I carried my military duffel bag with me,
Mm-hmm.
otherwise known as a sea bag. It's that big green
Mm-hmm.
canvas bag that you see them have,
Uh-huh.
and I put that on my back. And I carried that with me. So, because of that, it was easier for people to help me, even though I wasn't looking for help. I didn't have my thumb out. I didn't have, hey, come take me,
Yeah.
please help. I just had a goal, see my dog for the first time. But that one took me 2 weeks. The one that I walked from Virginia to California with took me 4 months. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
that one took me 4 months. The third one, I happened to go from Virginia Beach up to Fredericksburg because there was a Mexican consulate coming down out of the DC area as a special event to help get uh, passports and other legal documents, things of that nature
Mm-hmm.
for Mexican citizens. And I heard about that from a Hispanic radio station in Virginia Beach. So I walked up there. And then I also was invited to a conference in Houston, Texas. So from that uh, event in Fredericksburg, I walked over to Houston, Texas, and got to the
Okay.
convention on the very last day. It was like a 3 day event, but I had got in there finally on the very last day. They were allowing me to speak in front of about 200 to 300 people during that day. So I was very fortunate, very blessed. The person that actually kind of housed the event is on my book is the one that did the foreword on my book.
Uh-huh.
So if you read the book, you'll see a letter from her and how our interactions kind of
Mm-hmm.
came about. So, but then from there, I went and to San Antonio after Houston conference, and I met somebody there, and I picked up a bus from there to carry myself all the way to Acapulco from there.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
never walked all the way through Mexico ever.
Okay, but I mean, you walked pretty far.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yes. And
yeah.
can I ask you why you didn't stay in Mexico then?
So, because of my mother, because of the
Mm,
situation, so it's partially my fault, for what took place, but at the same time, I know my mother would say, "Don't blame yourself. You know, it's not your fault." She was a very caring mother. I say she was because she's no longer with us,
mm-hmm.
um, which is part of the reason why I'm in Mexico now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of let my hands loose and my ties
Yeah.
from America to be gone, and
Oh,
so
I
I moved
see.
to Mexico.
Uh-huh.
But so she happened to, because of diabetes, initially when she had to move out of the apartment that I was renting, for her and stuff. They were having to move while I was in Mexico visiting my wife and
Mm-hmm.
daughter for the first time. I was there for 6 months, but she was having
Okay.
to move out of that place. And she had stepped on a nail of some sort, and that caused the downfall. And eventually, they had to do amputation after
Oh,
amputation,
no.
and so
Oh,
things cascaded for her health and stuff.
oh no.
And so, but because of her strength and stuff, it's why I'm able to stand the way I am. So we've never had many luxuries in life, things of that nature, and so it's many complications that have came out of life,
Oh,
but at the same time, there's been many reasons to push myself forward to try to make things better. And my whole intention was never to be an absent father from these kids. It was
mm-hmm.
never
Yeah,
my
okay.
intention. But when you work in America, you happen to earn 10 times the amount of what they do in Mexico. So like let's say you're living in Mexico, if you earn Mexican, you're earning $10 for a day's worth of work.
Uh-huh.
So you earn $10 for that day, where in America you can earn that for 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a huge difference in pay structure and stuff. And honestly, the house that I have right now is all because of my wife, because she's the one that put in the effort, and everything that she was doing here on this end for the things that we have now to this day. And I'm very fortunate, very blessed to have her as my wife, and as as with me, and me being with her. It's been phenomenal. I just I My kids needed me, and I wasn't here for them. I was here for them at a distance, but the thing is
Mm.
honestly, my wife also built into them
Yeah.
that I am their father. And
Okay.
because let's put it this way, when they were kids, if they were starting to mess up or something, all she'd have to do is make one phone call. She'd be like, "Hey, I'm going to call your father." They'd straighten up right away.
Right.
I can't reach them. I can't touch
Yeah.
them. I can't discipline them. I'm not in their face, but because of her putting that structure into their life, they were willing and able to hear me and see me as their father. I was the financial provider for that time period,
Mm-hmm.
but and my wife was the discipliner and
Yeah.
the worker here. So we just happen to work together to make things happen.
And were you too sometimes thinking like it would be easier if she comes over with the kids to America?
There were so many dreams of that, especially as my children were children.
Uh-huh.
My oldest child, she would go to school and be like, "Hey, I'm going to America. I have a father in America. I'm going to America," and kids would make fun of her for that. Because they're like, "Ah, you're not going, da da da," And our whole goal, at a point in time, was to bring them to America.
Mm-hmm.
The hugest issue was the governmental requirements. See, I'm not a person of money. I don't have that luxury. And so what took place was that even when I was working, it was still not enough for my entire family to be able to come to America. And
Because you needed to have like a certain income
you
to
have to have
support them.
120% of the poverty level. So whatever the poverty level is that they consider for that year, you have to have 120% of that. And my family is a family of five, so that it would be, where it would need to be for the government, and I did not earn that. Now,
Oh,
you
I
can get
see.
sponsorships. You can get people to raise their hand and say, "Hey, I'm going to support," because obviously when you're coming to America, you don't want them to live off the system. You want them
Yeah,
to
yeah.
thrive, not just to survive. And so it's understandable that you want people to come to the country to be able to live within the system, to be able to do things. But I was not of that benefit. And with all my past history of what took place within our family and stuff, I
Mm,
didn't have somebody that could raise their hand and
right,
say, I will help them out. I will help sponsor them and they'll be taken care of and we'll make sure that
right, right.
everything is good. That didn't happen. And because of that, and because of me trying to work so much and everything, my kids were growing during that time. They were
Yeah,
establishing themselves in Mexico. And,
yeah.
and so once it finally came to a point where I could get them to America, it was too late. My kids were already grown. My wife's father actually had passed away. Now in
Uh-huh.
Mexico, um, to them, their core beliefs is that the eldest child kind of takes care of the parent, and my wife is the
As the
eldest
oldest
child,
parent.
and so with her father passing and her mother being there, that kind of
Yeah.
changed the dynamic. And my mother had
Right.
already passed a year or two before her father did. So they
Mm-hmm.
changed the dynamic of, hey, we're able to get you here.
But
During
not
that
anymore.
time, my
Yeah.
kids were already established. They had boyfriends and girlfriends and doing all of this stuff,
Right.
and living in Mexico. They no longer had that dream that says, I'm going to America. I would still love to bring them to America to say, as a tourist, and say, hey, this is where
Yeah.
I grew up, this is where I was raised. I would love to show them this is the lifestyle that I lived. This is how far I walked. I would love to take a
Yeah.
rental car and
Let's
just
do a
drive and
walk.
say, I'm not going to have them walk with me, but take a rental car and say, hey,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is,
here, this is where I walked.
the
Yeah.
trip. But so that's the thing, is that the family dynamic changed after time, and
So, and
unfortunately.
yeah, and how long were you always in Mexico at times?
So the longest time that I was the very first time that I came, and this is what's funny. So initially my wife was in our country illegally,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't aware of that in the beginning. She knows what I believe in about coming into the country the right way and stuff. The whole thing is, my whole concept is, if you happen to come into the country and you come in illegal, you're always having to look over your shoulder. You're always having to wonder when or if you might get sent back. You
Yeah.
might build a life, but then
Yeah.
everything collapses. So the thing is when I went into her country, come to find out, lo and behold, I'm actually illegal in her
Yeah.
country. The very first time I came, I had no idea what I was doing. I got on that bus and it took me straight into Acapulco. I
Oh,
didn't
but
know
you
about
were
visas or
you did no
anything of that
tourist
nature.
visas or
Yep, nope.
anything.
And so I
Okay.
was there for a month before I realized I was actually illegal.
Oh,
So
how long did you overstay your visa?
well, I didn't. I actually, so once I figured out that I was illegal, we went to the immigration office. I went ahead
Uh-huh.
and paid the fees for what they needed to make me legal and get the
Okay.
6 month tourist visa.
Okay,
So
okay.
after that 6 month tourist visa was up, I went and returned back to America.
Mm-hmm.
So sporadically throughout the years, I'd be here for 2 weeks, a week. I think the next longest time was like 4 months I was here. But So it was sporadic, but it was usually about a week or two every single time that I would
Well, it's
be able to come.
probably like also like a hard adjustment for everyone, huh?
Very, very much
Because
so.
you're
Very,
not used to it.
right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, we always tried to make moments last.
Yeah.
That's what I did with my wife before she left. I took her to the zoo. I took her to the aquarium. I took her to a go-kart place. I took her, all these different little events
Mm-hmm.
and stuff just to create memories that we could have together before she left to Mexico. Once I found out, and she was gone within a week or two. So
Okay, so it was quick.
during that time, I took her places, did things with her that I wanted to do with her that we didn't have a lifetime to do them in. I had to shuffle it all into 1 week.
Yeah.
So when I would come here, we would try to do things. I would take them to the beach. I would take them to, to the park and all of that stuff, and try to enjoy our time, even if it was short, for the amount of time that I was here.
Yeah, but
I
it's
was able,
also like a really great character of you that you stayed committed,
yeah,
because like such a long time and just visiting 2 weeks or like 3 weeks,
yeah,
that yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it would be so easy to say like I'm done.
hmm Yes, very much
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Very much so. And honestly, that's what people don't understand. And I've had that question a few times. People have asked me, well, how do you know she's not cheating on you? Let's turn the tables. How does she know that I'm not cheating on her? We have to
Right,
have,
that's
there has
same.
to be a certain type of trust in the
Yeah, of
relationship
course.
to be able to believe in each other. Otherwise, there is no relationship.
Well, there's can be cheating even if you live together too. So
Yeah,
you
yep,
always have to have
absolutely,
trust. Yeah.
absolutely. And so we've been pretty faithful to ourselves and to each other and to our family, and that's where our goals and our minds have always been, is raising the kids, trying to make sure they're okay, taken care of, and making sure that our family is just as solid as it can be. My kids speak primarily Spanish,
Of course.
obviously.
And you?
So communication. I speak some Spanish. I'm not fluent. I speak better Spanish now than what I
Yeah, of
used
course.
to,
Yes.
but I'm not fluent by any means, and I do pick up on things, but they speak so quickly, you have to
Yeah.
play catch up
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
And so I pick up on certain words that allow me to help understand the conversation a
Right.
little bit, but then I do have to talk to my wife and be like, is this what they were saying? What were they saying? Type of situation, just to make sure that I heard things right, because I don't want to assume things without, actually knowing.
Right. But she
Um,
also picked up on English. Like
phenomenally. My
yeah.
wife
Yeah.
absolutely does so much better.
Yes, good. So yeah, communication improved a lot since
Oh,
you
a lot
first
better.
met.
I mean,
Yeah.
we still have issues with, medical, things, medical terminology and
Yeah, of
financial
course.
terminology, but beyond that, it's much more beyond the how are you, and how is your day, and what's the weather like. It's much
Yeah. Got
more
it better.
depth and detail
Yes.
that we're able to talk now. So.
Got it. And and how long have you been in Acapulco right now?
So now I've been here for a year and about 5 months. 5 months.
Okay, and how
So
is it?
hot,
Hot.
hot.
Yeah, hot. Okay.
No, no. Every single day, it's not less than 90 degrees here in
Oh yeah,
Acapulco. Oh
that's
my Lord,
hot.
the heat, and then you have no
The
AC. That's the
humidity. Oh,
other
you
thing
don't
about
have AC.
no AC,
Oh,
no AC.
oh
It's
well.
Yeah, it's open
But you
house
have,
concept.
but you have a beautiful view.
Yes, yes.
It's
That's the thing, is that the palm trees and all that stuff, coconut trees, as long, the ocean front, it is very beautiful. It is nice. I think their beaches are kind of small. At least the ones that we go to are really kind of narrow and small. You kind of have to step over each other to get to the water.
okay.
But
Uh-huh.
But no, honestly, there's a different climate here than what I'm used to back in Virginia
Mm-hmm.
Beach, Virginia. It's more mountainous. There's a lot of uphill, downhill type stuff. So,
Four seasons.
say again.
4 seasons.
Here I think there's only one season
Yeah,
hot.
here, but yeah, but
But
in
yeah, in
Virginia.
America,
Mm-hmm.
well, you have two seasons, I think, in America. It's either hot or cold, and
Yeah,
there's almost very little in between, at least in
right.
Virginia.
That's true. Yeah.
It's weird there. But no, but yeah, and you have foliage there, the greenery in America, and it's so much more beautiful in essence, for just that alone. The streets are cleaner here. I'm in Acapulco, which is a tourist town, but the
Right.
streets are still made of dirt. You
Okay.
go into to local communities where I live and stuff. The streets are still of dirt. There's not
Okay.
asphalt. There's If you have a street, it might be made of concrete, but that
Uh-huh.
concrete has not been taken care of for years and years and years. We're talking 10, 20 years, and it's falling apart. Things of that nature. So yeah, money, the government, that they handle those things. they I don't know what they do with the money. I'm still learning my way through the government practices
Mm-hmm.
and how they handle things and stuff, because they don't look out for their people. They do
Right.
some
Okay.
things, don't get me wrong, they do some things for their people, but they do it in the bare minimum stance.
I see.
So they line their pockets before they line the pockets of the
I got
people.
it.
So
And so, sorry. Just it sounds like you would also not stay there forever, or like, would you? I don't know. Get everyone. I don't know. What's
I no,
Yeah,
absolutely. Your
it
question is
just
very valid to try to
because
wrap
it
your
just
head
didn't
around it.
sound too. It just didn't
Absolutely.
sound too positive.
The biggest thing is that my family is here, and that's what
Yeah.
makes it the biggest positive motion
Yeah.
for me to be here. So no matter how dark or dangerous or destructive this place is, my family is
Mm-hmm.
here, and that to me is what matters the most.
Yeah.
Now, would I like to take them all with me, scoop them up, and carry them to America? 100%.
Okay.
But the reality of life
Okay.
kind
Is
of dictates what you are able to do. So the one thing that I can say is that I want to be here for my daughter. I'm 45 years old. My daughter is going to be born in October of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so for that reason, I've not, because of all this transgression of time and everything that took place, I want to be here for those first words, those first steps,
Of
all of those
course.
things, the first birthday, everything that I missed, I want to really be present for. And I don't want to miss it this time. And so, would I return to America? Yes. Will it be anytime soon? Probably not.
No.
I do have permanent residency here because of my
Okay.
real daughter being here, so I no longer have to bounce each
Mm-hmm.
time every 6 months. So I am on a permanent residency,
Uh-huh.
and so that's fortunate, and that's because of my daughter. But if I was invited back to America to say do a book signing, or to yeah, even there's been a discussion possibly of me walking across the country again. Don't know how it would work out. Don't know, and that would be a very far stretch for me to
Mm,
do something like that. I would have to have a lot of people to be supporting me in the background. These three walks I did, no sponsorships, no backing, no nothing. So if I was to do it again, it would have to be for a really good cause for me to do
mm-hmm.
something. But just being here for my wife and kids, that's what matters to me the most.
Yeah.
Being here for them.
Yeah, of course. And so you brought it up already, the book
Yes.
and your walk. And is your walk mentioned in the book Stumbling in the Dark, Looking for the Light Switch?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yes.
that's the book.
Yes. So that is, I talked a little bit about the whole book actually during this conversation that we've been
Okay.
having.
Uh-huh.
So, if you look at the book, it was based off of journals of that I wrote as I
Mm-hmm.
was walking across the country, the people that I met along the way, the situations that took part in life. Um, it talks about how me and my wife met and our
Uh-huh.
story and all of that stuff. It's a story that I want people to understand, specifically more my kids than anything, as a story that can be shared because I can't talk to them physically. And there's going to be a time where I'm no longer here. And so, for that reason, I want something left behind that says, this is what we were about. And I'm actually going to be writing a second book as well on the
Ah,
same
okay.
title, but it's going to be subtitled with genetic predisposition. And that one's going to be on fatherhood and what makes us us, the whole situation of, you know, I am part of my father, but the thing is that how much of me is he, my hair, my eye color, things of that nature. But then there's the nurture side where my mother raised us, where we were
Right.
living in poverty, but there are things that she taught, so
Yes.
what makes us us and how do we grow? So that will be the
Uh-huh.
second book. This first book will be based around those walks, the 3 walks that I did, the journals that I wrote, the people I met,
Uh-huh.
and really stumbling in the dark looking for the light switch is that in it of itself. It's that looking for that moment that says, aha, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is where I'm supposed to be, and this is how it's supposed to be. And so that's what that title means, and to me at least.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope people that would read that would find a connection in their lives and saying, you know what, he did this. I know that I can do this. I can
Mm-hmm.
not do the physical walk, but I can open these doors for myself, but I have to move forward. I have to take the next step to be able to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really where these life lessons come from. So
Mm-hmm.
that's in essence.
Yeah, and you find it on Amazon, and the link is also in the show notes for the listeners, so they will just can click on it, and
Absolutely.
you find it under TJ Scott.
Yes. So
Yes.
they can find it in on Amazon. It's available in Kindle as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Kindle exclusive, so that's the only ebook place that you'll find it on. But it is in Amazon on paperback, so you can pick that up. I hope to eventually maybe be able to get it into stores. I do have it in a local library out of Virginia Beach under
Oh,
my
cool.
local authors section as
Uh-huh.
well. So, continuing to try to grow it and make a voice, maybe be able to do something that will allow me here to be able to support my family the way
Yeah.
it's needed.
Yeah. And any idea when the second book will come out? No pressure, but just wondering.
I I have been working on it off and on for the past couple years now.
Okay. Okay.
But so I have the outline. Actually, if you look at my website, familyreunitenetwork.com, the
Mm-hmm.
blogs that are there are starting to be based around that book. So if you
Okay.
want to kind of get an insight to what that second book will be like, that's where you can read up on some blogs and stuff. And that will kind of give you an inside scoop onto what the book will be. But if everything is based in what happens, stumbling in the dark. That's what I'm doing every single day. I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
So
Do you also can talk a little bit about your website? Because I saw when I checked it out that it's like a community for artists.
so that is something that we just recently launched. It's called the
Uh-huh.
Collective.
That's
That
what I'm
there
looking
is
for.
going to
Yes.
be Absolutely. That's something that I'm going to be working with people on co-writing blogs, things of that nature. I just recently put up a poem. I have another person that I'm working in essence. It's going to be a movie trailer. It'll probably be up by this weekend or next week, the beginning
Oh,
of next
cool.
week. And it's a movie trailer esque type thing. Somebody that I met through TikTok that has a history of. He's actually in Austin, Texas.
Oh, hello.
So yeah, you might run into him. I'll
Yeah.
send you information on that later as well. But his name is Spencer Otto. His Spencer Brooks Otto is what he's labeled on in TikTok. But he's I'm going to be working with him and getting something out there. But it's about helping families become one. That's what the website is more
Mm-hmm.
about. So there's going to be soon, I'm going to be attaching more information on lawyers and other things of that nature, helping with the immigration process,
Mm-hmm.
knowing because sometimes we can't, it's hard to find information.
Yeah.
And or to find trustworthy
Yeah.
information. That's really the key because there's a lot of lawyers out there, but there's a lot of them that unfortunately do underhanded things that will
Mm.
take your money and run.
Yeah. Mm.
And so they'll promise you the world but not give you it. And so I plan to be diving into that. It talks a little bit about the blog and stuff, and I'm going to be co-writing with people. If there's people that want to share art pieces or something, I think that we could do that as well. Get pictures up there for their art pieces, maybe. Uh, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
Yeah. And I was wondering about your life now, like your day-to-day life in Acapulco. How is it? Do you have like a regular job? Are you just full-time dad? You work on your books? So how
Well,
did you adjust to the new scenery?
absolutely. So the being being here because of my wife, we actually have what's known as a tiendita, a small convenience store, a local
Uh-huh.
community hole in the wall type convenience store that sells sodas and snacks and things of that nature. So we
Uh-huh.
have that helps us live life day to day. Now, over being in America, I was able to build up things like some cryptos, some silver, had some money stashed away a little bit. So over the year, that's been dwindling down. It's been,
Yeah.
I've been able
I
to
see.
stay and
Uh-huh.
help my wife and do things around the home. Not
Uh-huh.
everything's perfect, but maybe doing these things here will help progress my forward momentum in what I really need to be. I have a 90-day challenge. I'm right now at 66 days, and that's to make a difference before this child is born. I need to push myself every single day, 10 times, 100 times harder than anybody else ever would. This walk here is much more of an internal walk than it is an external walk. And so that's what I do here. I'm going to push myself every single day. This book, the second book, I need to focus in on it, but I think the blogs and pushing this, this I don't know what to say here because my mind goes it
Okay.
just it explodes with all the ideas of how can this work and how can I do this and how can I do that to make things better. But mm, right now I help my wife out. She's pregnant at
Yeah.
30 weeks pregnant. So it's coming close to the time where she's not going to be able to do
Right.
or command the store at all. I'm going to have to step in and step up as much as I can, even more so now than what I've already been involved. I better get better on my Spanish language,
Uh-huh.
be able to talk people and stuff. But it's one of those things where I'm here to help and do what I can for my family. I hope that our relationships get better. as time goes on. But my kids, they have their own lives.
Yeah,
I don't see them as often. Like if they
that's
were 10 years old and going to school, my youngest has already graduated high school in essence
yeah,
and is attending university type of
yeah.
level of schooling right now. So it's they're all out doing their own thing, and
Mm-hmm.
so I get to see them in passing in
Right, of
essence.
course.
So right now my main focus is being here for my wife, being her hands and her feet,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that she is taken care of as much as I possibly can, and helping in any way. Now that I'm here, I get to wake up beside her every single morning. That's something that people don't really understand. They think about, oh, I need to take a trip. I need to go do this with my family. I need to create these memories. But in all reality, sometimes it's just waking up, you know, being right beside them, being able to cook them a meal, that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
Fancy trips are nice and they're wonderful, but sometimes we don't see it until it's gone, and it's really just that simple. I made you your favorite water, your flavored water or whatever. That really makes the difference for families.
Yeah, that's nice. Especially because like for you it probably still feels very special because you didn't have this for such a long time.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
does every single day. And anytime that I really sit down to think about it, like now, every single time I'm remembered how lucky I am to be able to have these things.
Nice, nice. All right. Thank you so much. I think we're coming to an end.
Absolutely. I
Yes?
appreciate it. I think
Okay.
so. I just want to encourage people, if they can, pick up the book to find out more. Take a look at the website. Please follow
Mm-hmm.
this lady here and listen to her stories. Very
Thanks.
phenomenal. I appreciate it, Victoria. I really do.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so you'll find Timothy or TJ Scott's book
Yeah,
in the show notes. Again, it's called Stumbling in the Dark, Looking for the Light Switch.
absolutely.
All
Thank you
right.
again for
All
having
right,
me here.
yeah. Thank you so much for being here and telling me this awesome story about walking across America all the way to Mexico. That's crazy. I did not expect that.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. That was Timothy. So, if you guys notice, I tried a little bit of a different intro this week. I'm not sure if I keep it that way or if I will just go back to the old format. But I just wanted to try something else. And I was thinking about our conversation. I was hiking last weekend and I was just doing like 26 miles up in the mountains and with a heavy backpack. But I was in so much pain and agony, and I was definitely questioning so many life choices. And and I was thinking about like him walking or wanting to walk to Mexico, like even walking to Texas. It was so far, and with him like with this big box and no proper like hiking gear like I did. He must have been like so exhausted and so much pain, and I mean, like, he had a totally different reason, but I was just thinking the whole time, like, this is so painful. Like, wow, like, so impressive that he walked so far. Anyway, I just wanted to say that because, like, dang, if you walk so far, it is hard. It is hard. Anyway, so because we did a different format, a little bit different format today, I did mention that you can also support the podcast. So there are ways. So the first one, push the subscribe button. That would be awesome. And it's also great if you are a new listener and you haven't done so and you like the podcast, then please leave me a 5-star rating because would be awesome. And this would also increase the listenership and more people would listen to the stories you have. And then also if you feel extra generous, you could also buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/worlds collide. and you can chip in whatever, $2, $3, whatever you want, whatever you feel like. All right. And yeah, that was it from me this week. And I hope you had a lot of fun. Don't forget to check out Timothy's books. Again, you will find all the info in the show notes. All right, and I will see you soon. See you next week with another podcast episode. Looking forward to it. Bye-bye.